Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Book Marketing Mania. I'm your host, Kim Stewart, and I'm so glad you're tuning in today. So, we talk a lot about building relationships online, especially with your target readers, podcast hosts you'd like to pitch, and even fellow writers and authors you'd like to collaborate with. Whether you're building your author platform or marketing your book, Instagram is a great place to connect with your target readers and build relationships with podcast hosts that you might pitch to be a guest one day. Now notice, I didn't say anything about posting content. I'm just talking about using Instagram to connect and build relationships. So today I turn to my sweet friend, Instagram coach extraordinaire, Ruthie Gray, to pose a few questions to help us learn how to use Instagram strictly for engagement. And I can't wait for you to hear what she shares, so let's get to it. So Ruthie, for our listeners who want to use Instagram to connect with target readers, podcast hosts, or even other writers to collaborate with, how much time would you recommend they spend engaging versus creating and posting their own content on Instagram?
Well, we so badly want to get our message out and we want everyone to receive it. But honestly, I advise everyone, not just authors, to spend twice as much time on engagement as you do posting your own content, because Instagram is not like Facebook. It's not like Pinterest. It's not like Twitter. Especially Pinterest and Twitter are all about you just post your content and run. But Instagram isn't like that. Instagram is like, it's about relationships, because this translates into DM conversation. Relational marketing is what it is. So you have to develop those relationships. You have to slow down, take the time to leave value comments on your followers' feed, and then reach out to new followers through the hashtags that you develop or that you study, that you need for your niche, that depict the person that your ideal audience member is. It's just spending the time really connecting with others is what's going to reap the benefits and come back to help you in the long run if you really invest in others.
So, Ruthie, you mentioned hashtags, and I know a lot of our readers and podcast hosts and writers we might collaborate with have certain hashtags that they like to use for their own content on Instagram. So, how can our listeners find and engage with those hashtags?
Let's take me, for instance. I teach Instagram, but Instagram tips is not really what my audience is looking for. They're looking for social media marketing. They're looking for marketing tips and things like that. So I have to kind of go broader to find them. And then I also have to narrow down, who are these people? They're not just people that are studying Instagram. There is a bigger picture. So my demographic are people mine and your age.
Mm-hmm.
We're in midlife, where we're either empty nesters or we're getting ready to be, which means we are probably getting ready to be GGs or already are. We are ready to live our lives the second half and speak out and be confident and bold and brave. And so those are the kind of hashtags also that I use. Empty nesters, RV travelers, motor coach, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just about your message, but it's the intersection of your readers and their lifestyle and their demographic that you need to look for.
Yeah, because it's not just like if you wrote a book for women, you're not just trying to reach women or moms. There's so many other things, right, that they may be searching for and kind of engaging with on Instagram. And you kind of want to be in those same circles, right? You kind of want to enter into those conversations and then they can come and discover more about you and your book.
Okay, so Ruthie, now let's narrow it down to connecting with podcast hosts who we want to pitch to be a guest on their show. So we've talked a lot about building relationships with hosts before pitching, most recently on episode 44. But how do you, Ruthie, suggest we go about doing that on Instagram? How can we build relationships with hosts before we decide to send our pitch to them to be a guest?
You need to start leaving authentic value comments on their site. Value comments are not love it, this is great. or this, heart, 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 heart. It's not a bunch of emojis. A value comment really digs in there and says, I really enjoyed what you said in this post. I know one time I was out with my daughter and blah, blah, blah. You don't just go as fast as you can. If you really are serious about contracting these people or securing them or being on their podcast, then you need to show them that you are a value individual. You are a person of character. You need to interact with them, comment on their posts, start interacting with them in stories, use quick reactions, but also actual word, and start having conversations with them. Share their posts to your stories and tag them. They will notice. And share a review of their book or of their podcast. They will probably notice and maybe even share to their highlight. So you build a relationship first and let them know, you're kind of in there for the long haul. And then they'll set up a notice.
Y'all, isn't Ruthie the best? I just really wanted to get answers to those 3 questions for you so you look at your time on Instagram differently and see how beneficial it can be if you use it to grow relationships. And if you'd like to hear more from Ruthie, she was actually one of my very first guests on the show. You could tune in to episode 4, and I'll be sure and put a link in the show notes. So I'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode and how you might use Instagram differently. Hop over there and share with me and connect with me at Kim Stu Inspired. And again, I'll put the link to my profile in the show notes. And that's all for today. So I'll see you back here next week to help you market your book one podcast at a time.